Hello, my name is Ricky Walter.
Welcome to the Ricky Walter Show, and I'm Ricky Walter, here your host, live and in person. I want to encourage you to take a minute and like and share this live show with all of your Facebook friends. And we've got a wonderful show lined up for you today, and you're going to have a wonderful time in this show. I believe that. It's got a lot of information, good information. Let me take a moment to introduce myself to you. I am a licensed professional counselor. I'm nationally board certified. I am also licensed chemical dependency counselor and a licensed professional healer of arts. So that's what I do for a living. I work with normally with children, adolescents, families, adults, and individuals who are struggling with substance disorders. And so I've been in private practice for quite a while now, and so I serve in a number of capacities in other boards and educational initiatives, and just things that are close and dear to my heart. You know, I started this forum for you, and you're in right now in my therapy room. So consider yourself in there. This is my therapy room. So this is where I normally conduct therapy with people who come to see me, but I'm not performing any therapy tonight. What I'm doing is providing you a forum where you can receive plenty of information that you need to make informed decisions, as well as provide a forum for you to discuss what I call soul-charged issues that impact your life. And what I mean by that are those issues that impair your level of functioning. And we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. I've got a really good show for you. I've got a young man who's going to be coming on tonight. And so our whole goal for this month is to talk about psychological effects of racism and discrimination on the African American population. And so I'm excited about that. Just period. Just the information is going to be powerful, not just to inform you, but to provide you some statistics and provide you some things you need to be aware of as well. Listen, before I really get going and started, I want to invite you to our evening of fine dining and music on February the 16th. And we will be with Bobby Sparks. So Bobby Sparks will be with us, and we'll have a wonderful meal. You can get salmon, or you can get stuffed chicken, and you can just a wonderful night with a wonderful dinner. Bring your friends, bring your your significant other, even treat yourself out. So whatever you choose to do. But it's February 16th. We got two shows, one at 5 and one at 9. And so go on our website, www.lifelinecfs.org, and see how to get your tickets. We want you to be there. I mean, I want you to come. It's going to be a night of fun, a night just to relax, let your hair down, and just get into an ambiance of relaxation, and just do something for yourself. Reward yourself. And so I wanted to throw that out at you. And also, I want you to be mindful that you can log on to this website every night, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. That's Monday through Friday, every night at p.m. We're going to be answering your questions. We're going to be, exploring some areas of hot button issues in regards to mental health, and just people in general. But oftentimes people don't have a platform or place to explore feelings and explore issues and explore problems. Well, we're going to provide that forum for you. And so I want you to join me. And listen, if you have a confidential question that you want to submit, that you don't want people to see on the forum, you can send those confidential emails to rickywalter95@gmail.com. That's rickywalter95@gmail.com. Or you can text me at a confidential number at 903-875-8039. That's 903-875-8039. I look forward to hearing from you. I love your questions. We're going to be talking about a major question that came across tonight that I believe would be very, very informative and helpful for some of you who are going down that path, not just for how you are dealing with it, but how other people are seeing it as well. So welcome to the Ricky Walter Show. And listen, I would not be anything without you. You being here is very important. Matter of fact, I'm not the expert. You are the expert in your life. And so I want to encourage you to come every night, Monday through Friday. Get the word out, like and share these shows, and where my media team is working to put them in a better production type of format that will be on our YouTube page so you can view them later and have information on there. And so let me just remind you, of those who are joining for the first time, our book for the month is this book right here. It is Shook One by Charlemagne the God. And it is a very, very powerful book about this man going through his process of catharsis, where he's working through his issues regarding anxiety and fears and all of that. And I'm going to read a little bit of that tonight before we move too far into what we're going to be doing tonight. But I want you to really, really take a moment, like and share, like and share, like and share. Call your friends, text them, tell them to log on to this social media page. And let's talk about what is going on in your life. Let's talk about how we can resolve some of those things. I will be talking about some things that you may be dealing with, some things that may be symptomatic in your life and you don't know how to identify what it is. Again, I'm not here to diagnose you. I don't diagnose any clients without actually doing an assessment of those individuals and actually doing that. So, but you can get information, and also can give you information so you can talk to your mental health professional regarding what possible treatments or treatment modalities are known to work with certain things that you're dealing with. So I'm looking forward to giving you that information. Mr. Willie Keener will be coming on in a few minutes to join me, and we're going to have a conversation regarding some things that's powerful regarding the psychological impacts of racism on us as African American men. And I'm proud of this young man because I've watched him grow. He's been an encouragement in my life. And the first person I thought about when I thought about interviewing somebody for this show tonight was him, because he's at a place now where he's able to really impact the lives of others, and how he had to overcome all of those barriers and things that he had to endure to get to where he is. You're going to like his story. And so hang in there. And I want to say, give my hats off to my wife. She's watching from where she is at home, and so from wherever she is. And so I'm in my office. I'm in my counseling room. This is where I normally conduct my work. And so I want you to join me tonight as we talk about these issues. Okay? What we're going to deal with specifically tonight, we had a question that came across last week about a mother having a struggle with a son who's biracial, having issues from the African American side and the white side, and it's really posing some very, very strong emotions and some conflicts in himself, internal or eccentric conflicts within him. So we're going to talk about that tonight. And I want to take a minute before I get going too far and talk about, or want to read a portion of our book in our book of the month. This is chapter 1. And I want you to get this book. Go to Amazon, order your book. This is a book of the month that we're going to be working with. And like I told you at the beginning, this book is raw. Okay, this is a raw book. Some language. There's some raw stuff in here that can shake some of you if you're not okay with it. But I'm all right. I'm all right being real. I'm not trying to impress nobody. I have nothing to impress you with. I'm just Ricky. And matter of fact, I insist that people around me call me Ricky. I don't ever put myself above or equal with anybody. I'm just Ricky. I just want to be able to be a servant and give and do what I can to help humanity. But I wanted to start out today with reading a portion of this, and I want you to get this book. Don't get behind, okay? And it's again, It's Shook One, Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me, Charlemagne the God. Get that book. I believe it'll be a blessing to you. I believe it'll be informative and a motivation to you. Now, I have stigmatism in both eyes, okay? And I'm dyslexic. I will do my best to read and give you information, but you can get the book for yourself. I don't have to read it for you. You can get the book yourself. So, I'm going to read. He says, until recently, I have always believed that my accomplishments have come from being fearless. Yet as I got older and a little more self-conscious, I've come to believe that I've actually gotten here because I was scared. The fear of ending up under the tree of Monk Corners doing nothing, or back on the street, or of things not working out in radio or on TV has pushed me to succeed. But what I also realize is that while fear has been a good motivator, and it can be a good motivator for you, it doesn't work forever. Anxiety had become too much for me to handle. And I knew if I wanted to keep going and keep growing, I needed to deal with my exclamation, okay? Fear had gotten me here, but it wasn't going to get me any further. That's why I started therapy. And the more I opened up to people about my anxieties, it very quickly became evident that I am far from alone. From rappers to radio hosts to running backs to runway models, so many successful people I know admitted to me that they were filled with angst too. Most of them were fellow hip hop heads, part of a culture where fear is the last thing you ever supposed to admit to. In the culture, if you project anything less than fearless confidence, you are seen as weak. Someone who is never going to make it. That's the myth where we were sold. The truth I come to learn is that your favorite rapper is probably racked with as much fear as you are, probably even more. He or she has just learned how to reckon with their fear as they continue to grow as an artist. That's the same skill I want to teach you through this book. Facing and overcoming your fears rather than being handcuffed by them. I'm going to undress all my fears in these pages so you can see that you aren't alone in your anxiety. Not only the ones I've been aware of for many years, but also the ones I have become more conscious of by going to therapy. I'll close with this. I've gone to therapy specifically to deal with my anxieties and PTSD issues. That being my challenge. But I also know there are a host of additional mental health issues that other people face. And I want to touch on some of those too. But the truth is, I'm not an expert, I'm not an expert on anyone but myself. So I wanted to read that to you. That's on chapter 1. You got to get this book. It's powerful, man. Ladies, you got to get this book. It's not just a good read. It has good information. It's going to help you in your life, help you deal with some of the issues you're dealing with. So that's, again, this is our book. Our documentary of the month is 13th. And I want you to get that. It's a Netflix documentary. Watch that, because these actual artistic expressions are going to guide most of our conversations and our discussions over the next few weeks. Again, see me every night, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock p.m. And we're going to have a wonderful time. Well, I would like to take a minute and introduce to you our, before I get into the question or the issue for the night. Like I said, a friend of mine, a guy I've come to learn to love. I really do. As a brother, he has really inspired me. I've watched him grow and mature and become an exceptional young man doing exceptional work in academics and education. And I'm going to try to figure out how to bring him on here tonight. And if I mess this up, I'm going to keep trying until I get it. We did a couple of test runs to see how well it goes. Of course, I don't remember well. So I want him to do this. I need him to log off if he's on right now and I need him to come back on so I can see him so I can touch this button they told me to touch. I don't know how to see it right now where I am. I'm trying to get my staff to stay over and help me, but then they might be trying to get out of here and go home and stuff, which is cool. This is not their job, and this is something I'm doing on my own, so I can't make them stay, and I wouldn't do that anyway because they have families and stuff that they have to, deal with and go, So, Mr. Keener, if you would, find a way to get off and come back on so I can plug you in. Again, we had a question to come from a lady who wants to know, what do I do with my son who's having a big struggle with being a biracial kid in America, in a world. And I've got some really good information for you regarding not just that. He needs to be whole and complete. So we're going to talk about that. And I want to thank everybody for joining in and coming on and sharing and getting this information and just being a part of it. I mean, like I said, I'm not the expert. I'm only the expert in my life. You are the expert in your life. And so as you're going through this and you're finding out information, take that information and build on it and educate yourself. Become an informed person about anything you're dealing with. I said before, we all deal with stresses and stressors and situations that impairs our ability to function. And that's okay because that's what life is all about. But as I mentioned before, some people are very resilient. They bounce back quick. Others take a little while to bounce back. And then others may get seriously or severely impaired by the distressor. And so we want to talk about that. If you're dealing with depression, anxiety, PTSD, or you're dealing with, anger management, you're dealing with dysfunctional mood disorders, those are all psychobabble terms, but they do have meaning to them because in the field of psychotherapy, we've learned to use terms that are congruent. Everybody understand what we're saying when we say them. So my job is to make them and to a point of layman understanding where you can understand what they are, and then you can do something about it, and I can talk about that as well. Thank everybody for joining me. I love you. Good to see you, Marcus France, all the way in Florida, Hialeah, Florida. Man, good to see you. So let's get into a little bit. Mr. Keener, I'm waiting on you to jump in, but let me quickly give y'all a definition while I'm waiting on him to figure this out. Lamar, you sitting up there not helping me out, man. Y'all need to help me out. Y'all know that. Let's talk about what a mental illness is. It is defined as a disturbance of thinking and feeling. That's what it is. It is a health condition that is characterized by shifts in thinking, moods, and behaviors, okay? Or any combination of the three, related to distress and impaired functioning. Mental illnesses affect old and young, rich and poor, people of all genders, races, and nationalities. And see, maybe you felt a disturbance of thinking and feeling yourself. And when someone you are close to die, or you feel sad, there are symptoms of that. I mean, people can see that when you don't have enough money to pay your bills and those kind of things. And there are many events that happens in our lives every day that disturbs our thoughts and feelings. But the key is, learning how to manage those stresses. And stresses can be both positive and negative. Okay, and sometimes they can have long-term effects and stretch over a long period of time. And so that's where people like me come in. I don't profess to be the genius or the most trained professional out there, but I do profess to be a person who's concerned, to show empathy, and to be open to helping people move toward help, hope, and healing. Okay, so that's my idea. Okay, or that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Now, let me tell you what mental health is. Okay, mental health is defined as a successful performance of mental functionings. Okay, resulting in fulfilled life, productive activities, rewarding relationships with other people, and the ability to adapt to change and cope with difficult times. Okay, I believe he's using his phone. Lamar. Okay, from early childhood until late in life, and now we're just writing this down. Mental health is the starting point of thinking and communicating. Okay, we learn that. We learn the emotional issues all the way through that. We learn how to be resilient, or we learn how to, let's see, he says he should see the white circle. Okay, come on in, Mr. Keener. Follow this young man's instructions if you don't mind, and then I'll do. But for children growing up with mental stresses, first of all, that's where our code of values or belief systems are developed. And when those codes and values are developed, that shapes the framework for our thinking. And what happens is when we've gone through trauma and gone through some experiences, or gone through some bad situations, those are often reinforced by experiences that perpetuates those stresses in our lives. And then we come to a place of hopelessness and thinking that things will not change. And so that's where those impairments happen. And so it affects your relationship with your significant other or your girlfriend, your wife. It also affects your relationship with people that you work with. It also does other things, like it gets in the way of you being able to earn an income and sleep and have a proper diet and do things that make you happy. So that's what we're talking when we're talking about this. And so I want to open that up to you. This is what this program is all about. I want you to be open with me. Ask your questions. If I can get to them, I will. I appreciate everybody. I'm trying to learn to do it on the phone because they told me I couldn't invite anybody on my computer. So I'm learning how to do that on my phone. So, all right, here we go. Mr. Keener, are you here? Let me see how to get you in here, Mr. Keener. Well, Lamar, you're still helping me. Okay, so. All right, well, let's address real quick then this issue as it regards to being a person of biracial, and that's really a subjective statement because it said try clicking on the photo. I don't see the photo. Let's see. Is this your photo right here? Let's see. It must be him right there. No, that's not him. Let's see. What about this? No, that's Lamar. Hold on. What about here? No. Wait. Okay. Keener, log on. Let's see. What is this? That's not it either. Okay. So Keener, log on. I'll get you in. All right. So, when we talk about race, I'm going to explain that in a context where you can understand. Keener, would you comment something? Then I can say hello. Just say hello. Willie, just say hello, and then I can bring you in. All right. That's not okay. So I'll be trying to watch and make sure I don't miss you because I'm doing some reading and stuff. But again, I want to tell everybody who's joining in for the very first time, thank you. Like and share so that your friends and people who are on your social media feed can get to hear this. I was in Walmart today and I was telling everybody, you got to come, you got to listen to the show. It's live. It's wonderful. It's and it's a scary thing for me because I'm a very, very I like to be practiced and rehearsed and, don't like to mess up nothing. So, but I want to appreciate you for coming and trusting me to do this. And this is a wonderful experience. And I hope it's as rewarding for you as it is for me. Now, let me tell you about what race is. The lady who asked this question, race is socially understood to be derived from an individual's physical features. Okay, such as white or black skin tone. All right, that's race. Okay, and so not to get that confused with anything, we want to start talking about biracial, then we got to go to triracial, quadruple racial, quintuple racial, because everybody has different ethnic makeups of who they are. And so, you all hear all this stuff is one drop of African American blood, you black. Okay, well, I'm gonna read something to you shortly that I believe that will really inform your thinking and inform your worldview. Now, the social construct of racial identity can be referred to as a sense of a group or a collective identity based on one's perception that he is a part of or share common heritage with. For instance, you've got people who are biracial who do not identify with either black or white. they say I am biracial. And so, which is, we're human first, okay? We're human first. And we are identified in society by our skin tone. And so, so that's just what it is. But our social construct is identified by the people we hang out with and those who we identify with as a heritage or a particular customs and beliefs and traditions and all of that. That's what I mean by that. And so I encourage you, mother, who posed this question, that you ensure your child of his value as an individual. And only society will be the one identifying him as a part of a race, but in a culture. But he has surely all of the internal construct to set his own course and identify not as a race, but as a person of value. Okay, so you have to reinforce that. I would encourage you to get into go on to social media and find other people who are biracial and who are successful and share that with them. I'll pull some off just going on the social media myself. So I'll share those with you. But I will also try to help him appreciate both sides of his culture. So if he's African American and white, there's something good about both of those that you can take from that. And I know that it's we got in a discussion in my office about this not too long ago, and people were saying to me in the office that when you're black or when you're biracial, black people are have some sense of animosity or resentment to you because of the white culture being a part of it and the way you identify. And then the same token for the white side. So that child will feel in a catch-22 or feel he's in a place where he doesn't have any identity or any socialization. I encourage you to help him know and be informed of who his heritage and what his heritage is about. It's not about a person. It's about an entire, generation of people and how those people really have influenced your life and influenced the life of his father. And that's what I would focus on and take the attention off the skin. Now, you will have to teach him how to deal with it because people will judge you by your skin tone. They will make decisions about whether you get employed or whether you go to school or where you live and all that kind of stuff about your skin tone. But again, I want you to help him establish his value by teaching him the importance of being a unique individual, a person who is, himself. I mean, and he needs to understand that his mom and dad or two parents or two people who love each other came together out of love and constructed him. And this is how he came here. He came here not by, and so you got to be careful that he doesn't harbor resentment and build up this thing of conflict of who he is, which can also, morph into other issues like depression and anger and those kind of things. So I encourage you to stop a minute and make sure you celebrate that with your son. Don't make it the problem with most of us is we try to address issues when there's a problem. Well, educate him before it becomes a problem. Talk about it before it becomes a problem. Make it a big issue in your life. Make it a big issue of learning and getting him around other people who are of biracial or mixed races. Okay, and I've got some information right now that can help you. I looked up myself several celebrities who are biracial. Okay. And I'm going to give these to you, and anybody else who's out there, chime in. I mean, your conversation and what you say is very important too. And you don't have. It's not a disorder because a person is biracial. Okay, that's not an issue. Again, as societal's ideology or an ideas about how to identify people. I mean, I don't think there's very seldom you get an application that has a place for biracial. And so, but again, we don't want him to get caught up in the skin tone. I want him to get caught up in his identity as an individual and all of his characteristics and the thing that makes him unique and what he brings to the table. And let me share some of the people who are biracial. Okay, Halle Berry. Don't tell my wife. That's my girlfriend right there. Yeah, that's my girlfriend, Halle Berry. She's been my girlfriend since I was little. Our former president, Barack Obama, biracial. See? Now this is another friend of mine, girlfriend, Mariah Carey, biracial. Okay, Dwayne Johnson, biracial. So Alicia Keys and Tiger Woods and Lenny Kravitz and Radisha Jones and Bob Marley and the list goes on and on and on and on. Okay, of people who are biracial. Oh, I got to tell you two others. Dak Prescott. Yeah, I'm gonna read his story to you. Dak Prescott is biracial. This is what Dak said. I grew up in Haunton, Louisiana. And this is what he told the U.S. U.S. Today. I go to my white grandparents' house, and then I cross the railroad tracks and hang out with my black grandparents. Here you go, right here. All right. Here you go, Mr. Keener. You here? I'm bringing you on. We'll come back to that in a minute. All right, Keener. Is this you? Are you on with me? Let's see. Bring Keener's camera on. Okay, I did. I would like to welcome to this format. Let's see, adding. I'm doing it right? Keener, am I doing it right? It says adding, so I guess you're coming up. Can you hear me, Mr. Keener? There you are.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
Hold on one second. What's going on?
Okay. So I would like to introduce this man right here. Has been a tremendous inspiration to me. He has gone. He's got his bachelor's degree, got his master's degree. He's now working with children and public school. He is a very, very smart man, highly intelligent. I'm very, very proud, and I'll come back to the other stuff in a minute. But I asked him to come on here tonight because I wanted to get a perspective of conversation for most of you who are here and listening, what it's like for us as African Americans to struggle with racism and discrimination in our workplace. Mr. Keener's not just an educator, he's also an entrepreneur, and he's also a humanitarian. He gives back, he coach boxing, he cuts free haircuts, he trains, he do all kinds of things. And I wanted to bring him on because I wanted to ask him some very, very pointed questions, because really, truly, what we've experienced as children, as Black men, impact us in our relationships with women, our wives, how we raise our kids, how we, how it shapes our worldview. It shapes how we respond to triggers and things. And so, Mr. Keener, first of all, thank you for joining me today. I'm just so honored to have you on this format. And so,
yes, sir.
Y'all give him a shout out. Listen, Mr. Keener, tell me your first experience of that you can remember of your first or racism in the context of what we know it to be.
I was raised in Teague, in a very small town in kind of east in central Texas, kind of. And this was in the 80s. This was in the 80s. And we had I guess so-called black side of the tracks and white side of the tracks. And at a certain hour, you couldn't walk across the tracks. But the whole thing was all the stores were on the other side of the tracks. So when it got dark, we really were at risk as young African-American men going over. So anything that we wanted, we had to get before the sun went down. This was in the 80s. This is like 87, 88, all the way through the 90s when I graduated. But one of the most vivid memories I have is one night, a group of my friends and I, and see, we didn't have transportation like a lot of kids have today in today's time. So we either had bicycles that we rode from the high school, which was from my house probably like 4 or 5 miles away, or we walked once the football games were over. So we were at the mercy of whatever would happen. And it was a drag that a lot of the kids drove that had vehicles. Caucasian kids and most African Americans didn't have anything. So when we were walking, and like we'll stop by the store to get something, and then we'll leave out the store and we're walking home. And before we get to the tracks, we have to walk across the drag. And numerous times we were almost ran over because they were trying to run us over with obscenities and the racial statements and everything else like that. So we had to literally in the 80s, the late 80s, run for our lives, like run. And it's the point that they would they had big trucks and all that, and they would in the railroad tracks, and you know how to you had to run behind the axe tires, jump the axe tires, run into the woods, and then run to the black side of town. And then they'll stop once they got to the black side of town. So that was in the 80s. And I had a very, very close teacher. And she's a Caucasian lady. Her name is Miss Morris. And she was always fond of me. And she always gave me encouraging words and always encouraged me to do a lot of different things in life. And throughout my pursuit of education, she also would help me write papers. She was my English teacher from 6th grade, and she still helps me today. And her husband is a professor at Navarro. So once I graduated and I got my bachelor's degree, I came back and I told her that story, and I told her some of the individuals who were doing it, and she couldn't believe it. It's not that she didn't want to believe it, but she's like, I go to church, young, but see, it's different perception given where you're engaging with. So that was my most vivid memory of racism.
Well, tell me, how did that impact your view of whites to over the course of your life? Your worldview of the majority population.
Okay, it didn't impact me in the way that it would impact most people. I just knew that there was a lot of ignorance out there, a lot, because as you were naming off people that were biracial, I'm biracial. My grandparents are white on both sides. So I'm looking at, this is not a skin pigment disease or some genetic disease that happened. So I was looking like, why? My whole thing is, why would anybody treat someone like that? It wasn't a white thing, it wasn't a black thing. It was, why would anyone be so inhumane to treat someone like that? So that was my whole thing. And throughout the course of my life, I've had African-American people treat me in a certain way, Hispanic, everybody has an indifferent view or bias or prejudice about something in regards to someone. So with me, it's more or less, I'm gonna be the better person. I'm gonna lead by, I'm gonna take my steps in faith and walk what God says. I'm gonna study my word. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do, and then I can show better than I can tell, and that's what makes the difference.
Yeah. Now, I understand what you were you relating to, that you understood there was ignorance out there. Because I went through racism too growing up, and I didn't realize how much of an impact it made on my life until I got older and started unveiling some of this, and how I responded to stuff and responded to triggers every time I would get somewhere and the door would close on me. I'm talking about a door of advancement. For instance,
Exactly.
I applied for a job and they didn't select me, and I was the highest. I mean, to me, when after the fact I got a chance to talk with people who were involved in the process, and I was the most qualified, but the door shut in my face. And I'm sure you've experienced some of those same things. What have you experienced of that?
I have. With that, I'm gonna give you an ironic situation, and you well aware of it. I was starting my master's. And at Navarro, I had a situation where, a lot of people see me and see my tattoos, and I'm a comical person. I like to have fun, and I'm outgoing. I'll never forget where I came from. That doesn't mean I'm not educated. I want more out of life. But I had a very nice vehicle, and I was, my dad was running the club. I went to Navarro College, and I was handing out flyers, and that was it. And I had a licensed handgun carrier. Had my driver's license, my ID, everything. I ended up going to jail for possession of a handgun right there on the Navarro campus. And the student at A&M Commerce, which is a bridge campus with Navarro, went to jail. It took me 4 years to get it expunged off my record. 5 years to get it expunged off my record. Almost affected me in getting my first teaching job. And with that whole process, it hurt me in my heart, but it hurt me more mentally because I was stereotyped because of how I looked with my outward appearance, and because of the cart.
That was powerful, because see, I was leading into that, because one of the things I have a big fear of, and I still fear this for my sons. I have And I was just having a conversation with one of my sons that got into some things, and they called me today about it. But that has been my biggest fear, that my sons would have to endure what I had to go through.
Right.
And so you're now working with young men in the educational system. You are administration, you were coaching, you doing all that.
Mhm.
Times have changed. I know that we have gone from where we were in the 80s and the 90s, and for me, the 70s. Have you seen much of a change in how we adapt our construct, our social construct, our mental construct with society as it relates to our boys?
I honestly have, and it's an old adage that was said, and I know you're well aware of this as well. We're wiser, but we're weaker, in a sense. And I say that to
Mm,
say we have so much technology. I mean, I look at what the kids are learning today. Even my stepdaughter, she's in there doing her math, and I'm looking at the kids. They doing pre-algebra and algebra and all this stuff. I didn't get that till I was a senior in high school. These kids are doing it in 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
mm,
So I know we're more
wow,
intelligent. But we're weaker because of the
mm,
choices that we're making, and because of the
sure.
propaganda, uh, the lifestyles that are magnified in different settings, and it takes strong
Mm,
individuals that not only like myself, but inside the household
mm,
to ground their
mm,
the child and groom them up in the way.
sure.
And that's one part. But you know what the other greater part is? You have to be willing to allow someone else to help with that
Mm,
process. That's the whole.
mm,
You can't go against someone that has only good for your child.
yeah.
On the
Yeah,
outside,
and our documentary for the month is that 13th
right,
by Ava DuVernay. Now that documentary talks about the new Jim Crow stuff, the mass incarceration. 70% of African
right,
American children are being raised in single parent homes.
right,
And there are no men to model the appropriate, what success is in African American culture. That is why I go back and I do what I do, because I need for, and I'm blessed to have some. My sons are wonderful boys, and
right.
I don't worry about them as being successful men, as I worry about all the system that can come back to hurt them and
Well,
harm them
yeah,
and be destructive. So when you talked about the gun thing, I mean, being a licensed handgun carrier, they judge you on a totally different scale
yeah,
than everybody else,
right,
and that's what we seem to get all the time: the disproportionate level of inequality,
right.
not just through academics, but through financial means, through all kinds of systems. I shared this, and this is a real story. When
It's
I got
the
ready to purchase my house, Mr. Keener,
uh-huh.
I I went through banks in the town I lived in, okay, and I was rejected every bank, okay. A
Right,
friend of mine who was worked at a bank, he says, "Well, have you tried this particular bank?" And I said, "Well, no, that bank is not in my area." He said, "Well, just," and so I called the people and talked to them. I applied. They judged me on the same criteria, okay, as the banks in Corsicana, and gave me the loan.
right.
So when we talk about injustices, we talk about disproportionate justice, these are the things that become ingrained in us, and they form for us our core beliefs that fuel the rest of our lives. And so my distrust for issues and people and things that trigger me is based on all of my experiences that fuel that. And so I just I wanted people to hear. I brought you on for two reasons. Number one, because you were biracial. Number two, you come from a place that I came from. We've had this conversation over and over again. So, but I want to appreciate you for joining me tonight. And this was very, very rewarding. I think the people who've been chiming in have received something very, very good. Is there anything you want to say to the audience tonight before we get out on just something you want to share with them?
I do. I want to make this. Pastor Ricky calls me Mr. Keener. That's me. But everybody else knows Beasley. I'm still Beasley everywhere I go. I'm just a little bit more educated than what I have been, and I make better choices in life and more strategic on what I do. But I want to say this, and this is what Tupac said. He said, "We don't need more entertainers and rappers. We need more doctors, lawyers, and politicians." You see what I'm saying? So when he's saying that, that's true right now today. So when we're looking at what we're speaking into our kids, I hear a lot of people look at a young man, and it happened in the barbershop. You know, there's a lot of vivid conversations that happened in the barbershop. A young man came in, he was like 9 years old and almost 6 foot. And one person said, "Man, he's gonna be a good football player." And my response is, I said, "Why can't he be a great doctor or a lawyer?" See, if you speak that into him, you see, you have to speak that into him. You have to change the mindset. Once you change your mindset, everything else changes. You have people of like-mindedness. To us, like you, me, people, whether you're a pastor, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a construction worker, whether you're a cafeteria worker, you have to speak those things of life into those kids, and then it will become embedded and make those choices. So that's my
Well, man, I appreciate you so much for willing to come on. You got the notice today, just to join this show. I want everybody to share and like and share this, because this is a very, very informative thing. Mr. Keena, thank you, man. Y'all celebrating for his contribution to this. Man, listen, hang on in there. Keep doing it. Huh?
So,
I hear you. Well, you're my mentor too, so we help us one to the other. God bless you, man. All right. And so you see, this is what this is all about. This is about learning. This is about exploring areas. I don't know how to cut this off, Beagle, so you got to help me. Let's see what I do.
I'm going to show you how.
Let's see here. There we go. Okay. All right. So now, let me finish real quick before we get out of here, because I wanted to share this with this lady. This is Mr. Prescott. This is what he said. I want to reread it, and I'm going to get out of here. He said, "I grew up in Lawton, Louisiana, and then I crossed the railroad tracks and hang out with my black grandparent, my grandma. We have English teachers on my white side. My grandpa is a principal. And then you go to the other side, and the people have been in jail." Did you hear that? He said, "I was put in all of those different situations. I've been in situations where I was the only black guy. We're in a time now where nobody wants to see that. But it still happens. Depending on where you come from, it happens. To be able to wipe that clean and see and live both sides is just who I am. Being mixed allow me to connect with everybody." He said, people are raised people who are raised in an all-white town, it's hard for them to relate to black people or the cultures. But this is what he says. He said, he mentioned 2 other people, Safety Jamelia Showers, who is also multiracial. He said that's why you can sometimes see divides in the locker room. That gets a feel from both sides to know that you can and can't relate to those who are offensive to you. He says being biracial is being from a country. I can talk to guys like Travis Frederick from Wisconsin and Doug Free from Wisconsin. And then I can go over and talk to Des Bryant, a Texas native. I mean, think about it. The 2 different standpoints you need to have a real conversation with both to really understand what they've been through. He says this, "I don't think many can do it. For me, it's not hard. I'm blessed because I'm natural." Okay, so mother, I'm just trying to tell you, you have the right and the responsibility to help your child be whole and complete and make sure that this stuff out here don't enter his psyche, that it impacts his future and impacts who he is and his value as an individual. Listen, I think we've had a wonderful night tonight. I don't know about you, but this is the type of thing that we're doing. Tomorrow it's going to be just the same. We got something else happening tomorrow night as we get into another question that it came across. I would love to answer all the questions in a night, but it's impossible. And so, but we got a person who's dealing with grief, loss and grief. And so we're going to cover that component. There is a culture-related component when it comes to African Americans, how they grieve. how they deal with the loss. And so we want to talk about that, how we relate to it that's different. We'll talk about the differences because I've been on both sides, and most of you know that I've been a pastor, or I'm a pastor. I've been a pastor a long time, but let me assure you that I don't take therapy to the pulpit, and I don't take the pulpit in the therapy room. Okay, that's not what I do. I am a professional therapist. Okay, and when I'm in a pastor role, I am a professional pastor. Okay, and so you'll know that. Okay, that you need to know. However, there are some differences because I have been in a white organization, or white organization was predominantly white for many years, and there's differences how we grieve, differences in things that I notice, and things in how we relate to each other. That don't mean that their way is right or our way is right, their way is wrong, our way is wrong. It's just there's a cultural dynamic that is involved with how we grieve. Do we go through the 5 stages of grief? Absolutely. But do they look the same? No, they do not. They look different in several ways. And so we'll talk about that. So what do we do with loss and grief? How do we relate with each other in that place? And so we're going to talk about that. And if you're dealing with loss and grief, you've recently lost a loved one, or you know somebody who have, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk about some known strategies, some known evidence-based practices that are known to be helpful. But I want to encourage you, though, if you're in a deep place, you got to find a place where you can get some help, hope, and healing. You got to find somebody who's trained that you can talk to, that you can relate to. That's important because we can't suffer alone. When we're isolated, our thoughts become, magnified 100-fold. Okay, and so I want to teach you. There's important things to give you and some information to give you. So I hope you have been helped by what you received today. And we're still dealing with the psychological effects of racism and discrimination in America today on the African American population. And so I want you to come. Don't skip out this week. And if you do, come, make sure you get the show later on. But like and share, like and share, like and share. We got some young ladies coming on this week. And I'm excited about that because the young ladies we're going to interview a couple of young ladies regarding their issue as it relates to how they're treated by men of the black culture who and how that affects their psychological effects. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a whole lot of dynamics that relate to family, as it relates to growth and development and psychological health and well-being. So don't you forget, come out to this show, log in every night at 8 p.m. And get it. Okay. And so if you have any questions, please throw those questions at me as I learn how to deal with this stuff. I still don't know how to get everything done, but at least I've learned how to log on Willie Keener, and so I'll be able to do that with some of you. I've got some millennials coming on. That's going to be powerful. Millennials have a very, very different dynamic component of how they relate to, like Mr. Keener mentioned, about the social media component and how they communicate differently and those kind of things. We're going to talk about all that as we're moving forward. This is Black History Month, so all the conversations is kind of geared toward that. But like I said before, there are no subjects off limit. Send your questions, your confidential questions, to rickywalter95@gmail.com. And I promise you they're confidential. I won't give out your name or divulge any identifiable information. But again, I want to answer the question and at least bring some sense. I may not be able to be specific, but I can surely give you some generalizations of how to go. All right, and so we're going to be talking about ADHD, which I am. I got ADHD real bad. And so my son is going to come on. He's going to talk about that from his standpoint. You will like Ricky. Ricky is a total different beast, okay? But he's very, very personable, and you'll like him as we get into that. How do we deal with that because of a lot of the overdiagnosis and underdiagnosis? What does it look like? And why should we be concerned as a culture of being diagnosed with that? Why do we be concerned with our kids being overly diagnosed with conduct disorder and disruptive behavior disorders and opposition defiance disorder? Why do we need to be concerned with that? Okay, and number one, because those labels stick. Those labels don't go nowhere. They affect them when they try to go into the service and go in the army and go in. It affects their lives. So we want to talk about that and why is it important for you to be your kid's advocate and advocate for your child. Well, I'm telling you, I hope you enjoyed tonight. This has been a windfall of good information. I've enjoyed being here with you in my therapy room. This is my therapy room. Can't nobody come in here with me, and I only come here because I invite you. You in here because you invited. So I hope this has been a wonderful information to you. Come tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 p.m. Come and get this information. I'm signing off now, but don't forget, get your book because I'll be reading a little more about it tomorrow. And also, I'll be giving you a poem out. I'll be trying to put it on Facebook or have my secretary put on Facebook tomorrow. It's called Who Am I? Who Am I? And it's a powerful poem, and I think you're going to get a lot out of it. And so, listen, let's be kind to each other. Let's respect each other. Let's realize that people around us are suffering just like we're suffering and going through stressors. And so we've got to be concerned and show empathy, show credence to their problem as well, because we don't know where they're coming from and what they've had to experience in their life. Until tomorrow night, I'm going to sign off. But listen, this is what my mother used to tell me. Be the best you can be today. Have a good night.